This video is made for adult collectors because new year, new combiner, even though we got 2 of these members previously. Tank. Wow, I actually got him to stop where I wanted him to. Normally this thing will just go flying off the table, but Tank, I did it. So far, they've been pretty much 3 for 3 on the Bruticus members. Vortex was fun, even if mine has a loose tail flap. Blastoff was so nice, and now we have Brawl. Damn, this plastic feels really good. That was the first thing I noticed when I took this out of the box, was this plastic is very dense and smooth feeling. It reminds me a bit of 86 Optimus Prime. Oh, also, I got this from Robot Kingdom. Here's the box, not sponsored. They also threw in the Prima collector's coin, which is really cool. It's my second one. But yes, back to Brawl. I really like how this looks. He's on the shorter side of a Voyager, but he is a triple changer technically, and his plastic is super dense. Plus, he's like on the wide side. Not to mention that transformation is actually really involved, yet smooth. I quite like the colors. I'm glad they chose a darker gray. It goes so well with the shade of army green. They also went pretty subtle and chose 2 different yet very close shades of gray to help break up the otherwise monotonous look that gray comes with. And honestly, this works for me. I know some aren't going to be a fan of the hollowness on the cannon being on full display in the robot mode. I don't mind it, but it is worth pointing out. I do very much enjoy how smooth the joints are. Everything is nice and tight, but not too tight. Well, mostly. The only thing that is super tight on mine is the knees. They are so strong that I find the shins untab before the knee wants to bend, and it's a wee bit annoying. A knee bit annoying. Okay, I'm never doing that again. I really like the head. They nailed what I would be looking for in a Brawl head sculpt with that nice bright orange and that red faceplate. It makes him look evil and brutish. He comes with 3 sets of guns. You get the pistol that he can hold in his hand as per usual Brawl, and these 2 cannons that can store on the back here. They don't have 5mm pegs, so he can't hold onto them, unfortunately. However, if you rotate the cannon on his back around, you can plug them into his shoulders and give him shoulder cannons. That's actually pretty cool. Next to the other 2 Combaticons, yeah, this looks nice. It makes me super excited for Onslaught. I like all the detail on display here, but I will say I wish the thighs had some more going on. They feel a bit plain next to all the other parts surrounding them, and I feel like they stick out the wrong way. Like, they stick out because of how plain they are. The ankle joint, though, the combiner ankle joint. So this guy forms a foot and thus has an ankle joint in the torso, kind of like Scrapper, but unlike Scrapper, it's not ratcheted, it's a friction hinge, so it's tightly toleranced to allow for stability. However, they tightened it just a bit too much, and yeah, stressing may occur. Mine has like a hairline stress mark that doesn't go all the way through the plastic, but what I did was I took the screw out of that little bit there in the center, popped it open, sanded down both the tube and the hole itself, and now it's fine. You shouldn't have to do that. That sucks, but it is an easy fix. His articulation is surprisingly good for a guy who is a brick that turns into a different type of brick. Brawl's got some very nice motion going on here. There's a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting, like butterfly hinges and the way that the feet work, that are just here on this brute, and I'm so used to toys of Brawl being like this, stocky and not that articulated, but this is like borderline acrobatic. It's kind of funny. So to start with, the head is on a ball joint. You get nice tilt, you get a little bit of up and a little bit of down, and then you get your full rotation. But the panel it's on doesn't really lock into place. So every once in a while I find myself pushing the head down just a little bit. It stops like right there, but it does go down a little bit, and that's tiny bit annoying. It's this like transformation hinge right here that just wants to collapse because it sits in place here, but doesn't actually lock in properly, so it does pop down a bit. The shoulders, they can do a full 360. They can go out that far on this slightly weird looking joint. And then because of transformation, you do have that butterfly hinge, which is very useful. You do have a bicep rotation. There is nothing at the wrist, unfortunately, because of like how all of this works. Like there could have been space to fit one in there, I think, but I don't know how they would have gotten around these hinges here. He does have a waist joint, which is like, oh my god, he's an ankle and he has a waist joint. Yeah, but there's no ratchet in here, so like it's not, there's no worry. Plus it's going to attach to a frame, so it's a little bit different than Scrapper's situation. The hips can go forward that far, they can go back that far, and then in and out. However, if you rotate the waist, the hips can go even more up, so you can get some really high poses, which kind of makes me wish he had double jointed knees, because he's only got single jointed knees and they bend that far, which is, you know, 90 degrees is fine, but it would have been really cool because of how high you can get the legs to go up, that this could like double hinge in. And again, these knees are like, they're really stiff, and then you go to like, oh, that's come undone. These peg in fine. It's just like because of how strong the knees are, that works a bit strange. And then the ankles, they can't go back, they can go forward, and you have Ankle tilt. The turret doesn't rotate like this in this configuration because there's a stopper here, but if you do want it to rotate, you just shift it down and then boom, it rotates and the cannon moves. But his articulation is very, very nice and very surprising for someone like Brawl. I would expect something like this from Vortex, not Brawl. Granted, Vortex poses fine. This, you know, the butterfly joints and the way the ankles work is just very nice. I like this thing's robot a lot. I knew it was gonna be solid, but I wasn't expecting it to feel this nice in hand. The transformation, as I said earlier, is pretty involved. I don't think I've messed with a Brawl that converts this way, but the way the treads work kind of reminds me a bit of like the Studio Series MPM guy. So before we get onto this guy, I want to bring this guy in real quick just to show you like how involved the new Brawl is, because this, you know, you fold that down, collapse these up, rotate the waist, and then you just sort of start flipping the whole thing around, collapse the legs in, and you have a Brawl. I tried to do this as fast as me speaking, but I just couldn't. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Boom, there he is, he's done. Hooray, Brawl. Like, that's easy to do. You know, if you like easy transformations, then that's pretty good for you. I haven't lined anything up. This guy, however, now that we're on to the good part, this is really cool. So to start with, what we're going to do is take these panels here and fold them out around the hands to lengthen the arm. And then now he's got really, really long arms, or you could kind of make those look like arm blades, I guess. But we want to take the arms and straighten them out at the elbow and then pull them out so he's doing a T pose. Then you open this section up, fold the head down, then pull this entire assembly up, close this, and then rotate the arms 90 degrees so they are facing like that. Then you want to come to the back, rotate the waist. We're going to lift this section up on both sides, and in the legs is the treads. And you just accordion them out. That's really cool. And then once you do that, you want to peg the legs together. They peg in down here and at the feet in 2 spots. So you get that all squeezed together. Then you want to bring these around, and there's a peg here and a peg here that is going to go into the treads. So you bring that around and that will squeeze into place on both sides. It's very satisfying plugging these in. I don't know why, it just is. Like, they go in so smoothly and then bonk, and they're in. That's very nice. Then you bring this section down and it will sort of just soft peg into place. Then the arms, you want to accordion them at the butterfly joint to bring them up so that they're flat. A bit stiff. And then you fold these in and the arms will peg into these pegs sticking out of the side here. Oh, before you do that, I always forget this step. You want to open up the treads in the shoulders, and then you can bring this down and collapse it into place like that. Get all of the arm panels like squeezed together, clip the treads into place, then take the turret and accordion it back. And there you have Brawl in his tank mode. I love how the legs just flip, like they split into several pieces and then flip around in a very satisfying way to make this tank. That's so much fun. It is a lot nicer to do than this thing. Plus the plastic, the feel of the plastic and the solidity of the joints really helps this a lot more. I love this tank mode. Mostly. I'm not the biggest fan of these large ass gaps at the top. It can be a bit unsightly, but other than that, this thing looks pretty swish. The turret can rotate and go up and down. Again, take that Studio Series Brawl. You can plug all the guns on top to complete that G1 Brawl look, and yeah, I vibe with this heavily. And he's got pinwheel, so he rolls quite well. There is foot mode too, but I'm gonna save that for when we get the last 2 members and I could do the whole combined mode. But as just a standalone figure, I think this thing is a lot of fun. I have a couple of gripes with it, and that torso thing's a little annoying, but the good, I feel, very heavily outweighs the bad. I definitely recommend this thing, even if you aren't looking to complete Bruticus. To me, this is just the best of the 3 so far, and he's a fun little tank guy. But that's my look at, what's his name? Brawl. There we go. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.